I have seen the movie Beaches, but I'm not one of those basic pumpkin spice bitches who loves the movie Beaches, so I'm not even going to recommend that. Welcome to movie.
Palatable.
Oh, that's mean.
No,
It
it's
was
not.
a lapse in judgment. I know how to say palatable.
I'm just saying this movie is palatable.
No, it's palatable. Okay, he's making fun of me because I mispronounced the word palatable in our Elvis podcast. I said palatable with a straight face, like that's a real word. It's palatable. So, anyway, what I was saying was, welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure podcast, the show that wants to pocus your hocus.
No.
Yes, so I'm your co-host, Melanie. I'm, like in our last show about Moonfall, I also happen to be drinking a glass of Chardonnay. And I'm joined by AJ, and you're wearing a kind of a theme shirt. You got a Harry Potter shirt on.
Better magic school. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus is not a place where I actually enjoy the magic.
Okay,
Sorry.
so we're talking about Hocus Pocus 2, which was released in 2022 on Disney Plus. And I had never seen the original Hocus Pocus. So I watched that, and then like 2 days later we watched Hocus Pocus 2. And I really enjoyed both of them.
I enjoyed the first one.
My planet fell on you, and it was strong. So strong.
I wasn't like hugely nostalgic for it. Like, it was cool watching it because it's like 90s is everywhere.
And you also kind of thought Sarah Jessica Parker was hot in that movie.
Yeah. The only time I found her attractive ever is in the first Hocus Pocus. I don't know what it is. I mean, excluding the outfits the outfit that she wears, that, yeah. But even other than that, I don't know why. I guess it's just because she's so silly. Like, she's kind of adorable because she's an idiot. Melanie will mention sometimes hot dummy energy in movies.
And I have to give credit where credit is due. So I listened to the True Crime Obsessed podcast, and co-host Patrick Hines will refer to people as a hot dummy. So that's where I stole that term and talk about people who are a hot dummy.
This is the first time I felt the need to use that term on a woman in a movie. And
Because
that's
it's usually
Sarah
a dude
Jessica
who's a hot
Parker.
dummy.
So, okay, so the first movie is fun. It's very nostalgic. It's kind of a time bomb. Like, the clothes, the way people act, are very 90s.
I loved when Bette Midler sang I Put a Spell on You. That was so fun.
The three witches are way over the top, which is perfect because it's kind of ridiculous.
They're drag queens.
And they're having fun with it. I could barely understand. I never remember her name because she has such an interesting, unique name.
Kathy Najimy?
Peggy Hill.
Kathy Najimy?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing her
I can
last name
barely
right.
understand her. I know she was going with this weird, like, shad mouth. I don't understand half of what she says in the first one. I appreciate that in the second one I could.
Yeah, I don't know her character. Winifred is the main one, is Bette Midler. Sarah is Sarah Jessica Parker, and I don't know what her character's name is.
She's not the most interesting one. Like, she's just kind of bumbling, and she always ends up with, like, a weird thing going on with
It's
her.
very much, they have very much, like, Three Stooges energy going on, where
Yeah,
Mo is
and-
the smart one. He's always, like, slapping the
and
other
they're
two.
very in sync, like, the way they walk and stuff.
Yeah, the walking was
Which,
funny.
okay, the one of the biggest things that I don't like about the second one is there's not the same synergy between the three. And that even in that weird walk thing, they don't have it quite down anymore, which it's been a long time, so,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, so first one's a lot of fun. Second one, not as good, but it was still pretty good.
I really liked it. So I liked the beginning of it. We get a little bit of a prequel. So they go back to 1653 in Salem, and it's Winnie's 16th birthday, which she looks like she's 12. And the Reverend, who I guess I realized later was played by Tony Hale, who is a character in the... He's Dr. Psycho from... Yeah. Once we realized who that was, I couldn't unhear Dr. Psycho yelling the most awful stuff from Harley.
What the shit? Like,
And he's also Forky from Toy Story 4. And
Forky asked a question.
I don't know! Forky's an asshole. So anyway, they show at the beginning, like, the Reverend is like, ooh, thou art bad women and whatever, and they try to take the sisters away, so they run away, and they meet this hot witch.
Thou art different from the other children I have met.
In the woods, who we realized was the Shame chick from Game of Thrones.
Shame.
She's really pretty.
Yeah, she was
She's smoking hot.
very, very noticeable.
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. Anyway, she gives Winifred her book and says basically like, you're a witch now, so do with that what you will.
Yeah, she's like, don't do that one spell though.
Don't do the one spell.
And she doesn't teach them how to be witches. She's just like, well, you're witches.
Here's the book.
Well, you're a witch. She's 16. You gotta be 16 to be a witch. And then her sisters will later become witches.
Yeah, so there's a spell called, I want to call it Modica Magica because that's the anime or whatever.
Magica Magica,
Yeah. So, I'm becoming magic girl. So,
Magica Magica is way more fucked up.
So it's called Magica Maxima, I think, and it's a spell that will make you the most all-powerful witch ever. But hot shame Game of Thrones witch says, do not do this spell. It comes with bad things. Don't ever do it. So
and
some
she's
foreshadowing.
alone, so we're assuming she used the spell.
Maybe. She says she lost her coven a long time ago. So
But
there's a little bit of foreshadowing.
the movie never really addresses, like, how she died or
Yeah, what happened
anything,
to her?
so...
I don't know. So, also the girls invented Jell-O.
Look what we have made. I discovered a sow doll's grind pig's hooves and mix it with water. It creates mysterious goo. Then Mary had the wonderful idea to mix a drop of goat's blood. And look, it's jiggling. Taste it, Winnie. 'Tis divine.
We come to modern day, and it's, I think Becca and Izzy are the two main girls, and it's Becca's 16th birthday, and they're going to do a little ritual that they always do, and they've kind of iced out their friend Cassie, which I'm thinking, this is basically just Euphoria.
It's basically, without drugs and sex, Rue, is it Lexi? The sister?
Who wrote the play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Cassie?
the heavy girl.
Cat.
Cat.
No, well, but then there's really a Cassie.
Oh.
There's Cassie in both of
Well,
them.
Cat, yeah, but she's not represented in this. It's
Yeah.
just the first three I said.
So it's like Euphoria, but not as good. So they live in Salem, and it's Becca's birthday, and they have a friend who works at a magic shop, and it's usually kind of schlocky. It's all for show, but then we learn later there's some real magic going on. So he has the book in a glass case. He's like, don't touch the Satan book. And he gives them this really gross-looking candle. And so the lore is if you light the black flame candle, if a virgin lights the black flame candle on Halloween, the witches will come back. And so they're like, okay, whatever. And they go out to the woods, and they light the candle. And
Only two of them, though.
Yeah. There's not a...
Because they're...
Cassie has a boyfriend.
Because
so...
catfight, because women can't be okay with each other having a boyfriend
This
and they
is
want to
why,
hang out
like,
as groups.
I have female friends, but they are like isolated in, you know, I've got one friend from work and one friend from taekwondo and one friend from here, and I see them individually. I cannot stand groups of women or girls. I'm not trying to be like a pick-me girl, like, I'm not like the other girls. I just don't like the dynamics of female friendships. They're always so catty.
Girls need to do more sports.
Yeah.
You just need to do more sports as a group.
Punch
And-
each other in the balls.
and
That's
get-
how guys make
you get-
friends.
You get the feeling of how you're supposed to be around
So
groups.
anyway, there's the thing like, oh, the third friend has a boyfriend and she's too good for them and she's got a party at her head, blah, blah, blah.
Although, I wish they were actually in the movie a little more, just because her boyfriend's actually kind of funny, because he's an idiot.
He's really dumb. He's like,
extremely stupid.
oh, if you put this in the Euphoria universe, oh god, like if that was Nate. Oh. Okay, this needs to be a thing in Euphoria Season 3. Rue and Jules get a magic candle and bring witches back.
Yeah, Jules would totally want to do that.
Yeah.
So
Jules.
anyway.
Anyway.
they light the candle in the forest. And who should appear but...
The Sanderson sisters. And they start singing immediately.
Immediately!
We were running wild and so reviled, raising Cain until we got exiled. But times are changing, now we're on the attack. Yeah, the spell is gonna hit ya, cause the witches are back. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I don't know, but I literally can't stop watching them.
Which, like, I'm okay with the choice of song, mostly.
Yes, can I say what it is? It's a version of "The Bitch Is Back" by Elton John. I'm like, yes, Queen, I'm here for this. but it's the witches are back. And fuck, it's Bette Midler singing it, so you know Elton John was on board with that.
Yeah, so, okay.
She's the queen of the gays, so...
One, I'm cool with them singing, but they only sang one song. Like, I mean, as a group.
But it was to bewitch people.
And it was set up in the story. They were bewitching a crowd. They were trying to distract people from the fact that they were actual witches. Like, it made a lot of sense. And then there were ramifications. Here, as soon as they show up, they're just like, we've been listening to Elton John in hell for the last 30 years, and here we go.
Here's a fun little tidbit. I just finished reading Mike Rinder's Scientology memoir, A Billion Years, and apparently when he was in the Sea Org, which is its own version of hell, they listened to Elton John cassettes over and over and over. So in their own private hell of Scientology. So the witches find the girls, and they're like, aha, we're gonna eat you, because you're teenagers. And they're like, no, we're not. And they do then they go to the funniest scene in the movie. They're like, wait.
So the setup is that
I'm sorry, I'm getting too excited.
Yeah,
we're like... I like this movie.
We're witches, just like you, but we've drank children's souls, which we sell in lotions, not potions. They're a lot like potions, but they're lotions, down at the CVS.
No,
the
that's
Walgreens.
a Walgreens.
And yeah, this is the best scene of the whole
It's so
movie.
funny. So they go and they're like, Bette Midler's like drinking face cream, and the funniest part is Kathy Najimy finds like a sheet, like a face mask, and she goes,
"'Tis the face of a child." A newborn.
and she starts eating it.
I wanted more of that.
Oh, that killed me.
Like, that's severely fucked up and also
it was
very
so funny.
Like, okay, the first one had a little bit more of, I think, dark edge to a lot of the story and the humor. Like, how often you get to see the villain actually murder a child?
Yeah.
Like, that's the opening of the original movie. Like, they murder a child and they turn another one into a cat. In which they didn't do anything with the cat thing, which I was kind of
disappointed. They didn't do it. There was a black cat, but it was not a person who'd been turned into a cat. I was hoping they would have turned Gilbert into a cat.
Yeah, so after they eat the not a baby face,
That's so funny.
They very quickly find out this is a lie, and then, then the pursuit happens. They start chasing the girls. And
I think they go to Gilbert's magic
We get those
shop?
weird little callbacks, like, this time, instead of her having to ride a vacuum, the third sister has to ride, like, 2 of those Roombas.
Yeah, so Sarah Jessica Parker has... Bette Midler finds, like, a Halloween decoration broom. And then Sarah Jessica Parker gets a Swiffer. And then Kathy Najimy gets these 2 Roombas. That was funny.
It's funny, but also I'm like, that doesn't resemble a broom, though. Why would you think...
But it cleans. I thought it was fun. And they come back into play later, remember?
I never once thought of it as they ride on them because they're cleaning utensils. Damn it.
There was a mop and a vacuum in the first one.
Well, yeah, but I just thought, like, it's the only thing that's a similar-ish shape. The vacuum's probably more comfortable to ride on.
You have never known the magic of a Swiffer.
I had a Swiffer. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so they hunt down Gilbert because he opens the book once he finds out it's alive again. He's like, oh shit, fuck yeah, Satan's book. Its eyes are open, and he's like...
So apparently it was all a trick, because Gilbert really wanted to bring the Sanderson sisters back, so he set up the black magic candle. He knew that Rue and Jules were going to light the candle in the woods.
Yeah, I didn't like this. Like, it makes sense. It's just the way that it happened didn't. Like, okay, so he was a kid at the time of the first one, and he saw the witches. So he wanted to bring them back because he thought they were cool. But he only saw them literally after a bunch of kids, like, beat him up and took his candy. He just saw them flying through the air, and then they exploded. Like, that's all he sees, and he's like, ooh, I need to bring them back. They're misunderstood. If he was in the party where they had to dance, like, the rest of the night, that would have made more sense. Because maybe he's a kid, he's dumb, he doesn't realize, like, wow, 8 hours of dancing is not a good thing. And he's just like, yeah, they were cool. They just wanted to party. And all you people wanted to blow them up. Man, I'm bringing them back. That would have made more sense. But anyway.
Yeah, so the witches send Gilbert on a journey. So they want to do the Magic of Maximus spell, and the book starts to have a conscience, like, no, won't let her flip to it. And you see this in movies all the time where, like, maybe the villain's crony or somebody starts to have a conscience and they're like, no, I don't want them to do this. So there's kind of that tension going on. But Winifred wants to do the spell to become the most powerful witch. So they send Gilbert. They're like, we're going to kill you unless you get all the things for the spell. And one of them is the head of a lover. So Billy Butcherson is back.
That's not 6 feet under.
Who are you?
And he's very funny. I like him.
He sounds like Johnny Depp the whole movie, which was a
Kinda looks
little
like Johnny
weird.
Depp.
Like, I could have believed that it was Johnny Depp over there. I looked up the cast to make sure he came back, because it still looked like him, and it was him, but the thing about making an actor wait this long in between doing a sequel, they don't really seem to remember how necessarily to do that part anymore sometimes. Like, he's still a lot of fun. I just thought the accent, like, really threw me off. Like, I don't remember his accent being that thick in the first one. It's like J-Rock in Trailer Park Boys.
We're not motherfuckers. We're motherfuckers.
So
Anyway.
he and Gilbert have a night on the town because Billy doesn't know at this point that Gilbert needs his head.
That was actually a lot of fun, too.
That was a lot of fun.
I'll give him
So
that.
he and Gilbert are out doing that. The girls are trying to escape the witches. They get locked in the magic shop for a while. And so also what's happening is Winifred has a grudge against the Reverend who tried to take her sisters away. And so the mayor, who is Cassie's dad, is a descendant of the Reverend, played by Tony Hale, which halfway through I'm like, oh, it's Dr. Psycho. And then once you know that, you can't unhear.
Yeah, soon
You can't unhear that
after,
voice.
Like 10 seconds after we found out, he screamed. I was like, if we waited 10 seconds, we would have known.
It's Forky. It's
Because-
Dr. Psycho. So yeah.
I also didn't care for him that much. I think he could have been better utilized. 'Cause he was just weird and dumb, and like he's supposed to just be the dumb, nice mayor, but it wasn't really that funny until like later on in the movie when he actually freaks out over the apple. That was actually kind of funny.
He really wanted a caramel apple. So there's a Halloween festival going on. And the witches show up, and they show up at a costume contest to be the Sanderson sisters, and it's all drag queens.
Which
Including Ginger Minge from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Lose the teeth.
Mind your business, girl.
All right, people. Thanks. Hey, Winnie, what do you call yourselves?
The original.
So good for Ginger Minge for having a career
okay, so
in movies.
here's the part that I don't know if it's the real outrage or not, but I heard people were like freaking out because there's a drag race and there's a
Drag has been around for centuries.
Disney's trying to push this woke agenda.
Why? Because the black girl is
I
the
knew
main
I
character?
found out about drag from like regular sitcoms and shit when I was a
Python.
kid. King of the Hill and Friends, I think, had something
They
about
were
it.
doing
and-
drag in Shakespeare's
like,
time. Who
it's-
gives a shit?
And it wasn't even like there was nothing sexual about it. It was just kind of funny.
No, they
that-
didn't even show the drag queen, other queens
They're just
doing their
big
thing.
over the top personalities. That's
Yeah.
all it was these men trying to be these women with these big over the top personalities, and one of the dudes just flat out left the beard and goatee and everything on.
Yeah, that's-
and the witches are totally into it. Like I'm gonna keep calling her third sister because I don't remember her
Kathy
name.
and Jimmy.
Yeah, she's just looking at her like, is that what I look like?
Girl, we gotta go
We
in
are
her
hot. Oh, like,
Yeah, so of course you have drag queens and you have Bette Midler, so you gotta have a song. And so she's like, "No, we will do." And then it's funny because they go over to Ginger Minge. She's like, "Oh, they're doing a bit," because they give the award to somebody else. They give the award. It's the real Sanderson sisters, but they give the award to somebody else, which is funny until Bette Midler throws the award at a judge and knocks him out. I'm like, he would be dead.
he was dead. He never moved again, and it was so quick. I laughed so fucking hard at that part.
So-
She just like, give it me. Yeah, you're not expecting it at all, and it's like she laser beamed this thing straight into this fucking dude's face.
He is dead.
And he falls on the table, never moves again.
He's dead.
He's dead.
So she sings One Way or Another, which by Blondie, which I fucking hate that song. It's in everything.
Okay, I know that it...
But I kind of get it. She's gonna get the book and get you,
okay,
Salem.
But,
I hate that song.
But, there's a couple different ways it could have gone. Because, in the first one, I get that it's like a Halloween-y type of song. It already existed, but it's like, it's in the nature of the holiday. Like,
I put a spell on you.
Yeah, it makes sense. The bitch is back. Okay, fine.
No, they don't. Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
The bitch is back. All right.
It's always time for the bitches back.
I mean, witches are back. Whatever. Fine. All right. So if we're gonna do another one, we should keep it in the same sort of like creepy vein of that stuff.
Halloween.
2 options. 1, Thriller, because it's Thriller.
And they get everybody to dance. They put like a spell on everybody
they
to
get
make
the whole
them
crowd
dance.
to do this group thing, so Thriller's perfect. 2, because this is, 90s nostalgia, they should have done Terror Time is back again? It's Terror Time.
You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
This is awesome. They could have done that and just swapped out the zombie stuff for witch stuff. And it would have been some 90s nostalgia, and it would have fit the holiday, and it would have just been awesome. Like,
So anyway, also Hocus Pocus 1 exists inside Hocus Pocus 2.
yeah, like not the past, but as a film.
So the witches are going through town and they fly past this window and these 2 guys are watching a movie and they're watching, I forget what part it was, but it was a scene from Hocus Pocus.
It was when the devil, like...
Yes, it was, I don't know if it was the Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall, but it was the scene with the devil and his wife and the curlers. And that was from Hocus Pocus 1.
Yeah, so the movie exists inside this movie.
Disney's getting very meta.
It's, like, stop it.
We had High School Musical, the musical, the series, with 2 documentaries inside of it, and Frozen inside of it.
And, yeah, it's...
So...
Balls.
And there's a big showdown in the woods.
So... Okay, for a little while they do trap them in Cassie's house, which is cool, but...
With salt.
Yes.
Which also makes me think of the skeleton key.
And, and now...
That's a recommendation, the skeleton key.
That's a good one. And now, the Roombas actually come into play, so
Yes.
so it's not as random. Because they do their thing, they suck up the salt.
So the Chekhov's gun in this is the Roomba.
They were really... That scene was actually pretty good, too. Them bouncing off of the dumb mayor who was, like, sort of being like, why are you in my house? And by house, I mean garage. But also, like, I want to play along with the Sanderson sister costume thing. So, okay, the Roomba thing was alright.
I thought it was cute. I like this movie.
It came around. Actually, the worst thing is the main trio. They're not as fun as the original group. They're just not.
Oh, the teenagers?
Gilbert and Billy are fun. And the 3 girls, like, I don't care. Like, oh no, you guys have to learn to not be mad at each other because one of them got a boyfriend. I don't give a shit. Like, fucking stop, just talk to each other. Or don't be an asshole. Hang out with her friends and his friends too. I always hate when that's like the storyline. Like,
yeah, I know. I'm not good at having friends, and then when I see things like this, I think, oh, I didn't really miss out on much drama, so I'm good with that.
So who cares?
Yeah.
Okay, so they get back together, sort of. There's another funny thing with the dumbass boyfriend, which I kind of wish there was more of, and I wish him and Sarah had a scene together.
Oh, that would have been so funny.
They're both so stupid. Like,
and she's also, whenever a guy shows up, she's like, oh boy.
Like, she sounds like Star.
Star going through puberty.
Yeah. So, okay, we get to the final showdown. They're trying to hold on to the book and keep the witches from getting it. The witches get it, and they start the spell. They have Billy's head, and Billy's like, fuck you, Dilbert, or whatever.
It's so funny because he's like, they're doing all this big, fantastic stuff, and he's just like, he just rolls his eyes the whole time. And I'm just living for Billy rolling his eyes. Like, I don't give a shit about this.
Billy said that he's still, like, awake because no one put him back to sleep or something. Like, that's terrifying.
For 30 years.
For 30 years. He's been laying in that hole, like, just like, any day now, I guess. Fucking...
Yeah, so they do the spell, and then what happens, though, Becca tells her, it's like, I actually read the warning in the book, and it says, if you do the Magica Maxima spell and become the most powerful witch, you will lose what is most dear to you. And so Winifred's sisters start to disappear.
Winnie? Winnie? The wind is stealing my fingers. Bye-bye.
Okay. I was like, yeah, I knew that something like this was gonna happen, and it's sort of sad, but...
It is sad.
I wanted them to be a little more evil, though. Like, for the entire movie. And then have this... I thought, okay, my idea of the ending was gonna be, she starts to lose her sisters, they die or whatever, and then she just sits and waits for the sun to come up, and she decides to kill herself.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was gonna be the... Because this was to make her more powerful. It didn't have to have anything to do with her being alive past dawn. They could have kept that two separate things. This was their way of not having to do that.
Yeah.
But...
Because if you become the most powerful witch, you can live past the candle burning out and dawn and all that.
If they had left out that loop, then I think it would have been more interesting for her to just decide to die.
Yeah, because she kind of has a redeeming moment in the end where I kind of forget it now, but she asks Becca, she realizes the most important things to her were her sisters. She's nothing without them. She doesn't want to be the most powerful witch, so I think Becca does a spell or something.
She does a spell that sends her to them.
To them. She doesn't bring them back. She sends her to them. So she goes to the afterlife.
So they get to all hang out in hell together? Like,
I guess.
Yay! I guess better to be in hell with your sisters than to
be in heaven alone? I don't know. So then they realize, the three girls, that friendship is the most important magic you could have. And Becca has magic powers now. She got her magic powers at 16.
And she got to give them to her friends somehow?
Because power is best shared. So they learn the power of friendship, which we also learn in Harry Potter. So, and it is kind of cute at the end. The girls are walking off in the distance, and you see them start to do kind of the rhythm of the walking that the witches did, and they're like, wait a minute, what are we doing? So yeah. I thought this was a guilty pleasure. I liked the first one a lot. I'd never seen it before. I really liked it. I really liked the second one. I think that would be like a nice Halloween tradition to keep watching those movies.
I have two big problems. Not big, but I have two problems. One, like I said, the main three girls are not interesting. They're boring as hell. I don't care. I don't know anything about them. I don't care about them.
No, the witches and Billy were the best part of the movie.
And the dumb boyfriend is sort of funny because he seems very sincere, but also a total idiot. And the girls are way too sensitive about him. Yeah. They're like, you're making fun of us. Like, he's just kind of joking around with you. He's a dumbass. Like,
and he's so dumb he doesn't realize it.
You can tell he has no ill intention. Anyway, okay, so that's the first thing. Second, the two sisters, they don't give the same attention to them as they do in the first one. Like, they don't have the same energy. No. Sarah Jessica Parker in the first one, she's running around doing shit in the background the entire film. The entire time. They address it at one point. They're trying to, like, retrace their steps, and I keep forgetting her name. What's the Bethesda? Winifred. I don't know why I was thinking Bethesda. Winifred is like, okay, you were over here. Sarah, you were over there doing some stupid dance and shit. And I was here trying to figure out the spell. Okay, then we did, she calls it out. And in this one, she doesn't really do that. She doesn't have as many fun conversations where she's like sort of hitting on every dude that she sees or anything like that. Third sister is not as left behind. She still gets some funny stuff like with eating the face.
Every time you say third sister,
I know.
I think of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I know, but it's like, it's a cool name.
Yeah.
So those are my two big complaints, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. And fuck whoever's being bitchy about, like, they're teaching kids about gay stuff. Like,
Oh my god, drag has been
get
around
over
for
it.
centuries.
The Romans used to make dudes play, not dudes, little boys play women in plays. Because
yeah,
you
they didn't
couldn't
allow
have,
women to...
couldn't let women, like, pretend
my
for a little
God.
while. Over there flashing all the adults with their shoulders
They
or
need to
whatnot.
stay home and have babies. So, do you have any recommendations? Because I've got a few.
Did you write down anything I mentioned while we were watching it? Because
No.
I'm sure I have.
Oh,
them in
at the
mind.
end, okay. One more fun thing at the end is that there's a little after credit scene, and it's the witches in a studio singing the full version of "The Witches Are Back"
Yeah,
to the tune of "The Bitches Back" by Elton John.
Yeah,
that was
pretty
fun.
Good. Fuck. I feel like I had something in mind. Oh, Charmed, the original Charmed. Just
I had never watched any of them.
3 witches, and there's a lot of weird lore in there. There's like witches and demons, and there are angels, which are called white lighters, and one of them bones one of them, and a sister dies, and then they get a new sister that's not as bitchy behind the scenes.
So they had to write off Shannon Doherty.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a couple of things. I have, if you want to see like a diverse cast of teenagers, watch Euphoria. Also, if you want more of Tony Hale, watch the Harley Quinn animated series or the Forky Asks a Question shorts on Disney+. I am in tears from laughing so hard at those shorts. They are ridiculous. Also, The Witch with Anya Taylor-Joy is really good. That's a serious movie. And then also, for some 90s nostalgia, The Craft, which I had asked AJ if he'd never seen it. He was like, no. I was like, girl, how have you not seen The Craft? So we are going to watch that this month. Girl, have you not seen The Craft? Come on.
And I mean, this movie did get us in the Halloween spirit, I guess. Cause
Yeah, I'm in the Halloween spirit.
Continue to watch 2 more horror movies back to back that night after watching Hocus Pocus 2.
And what did we watch?
We watched the original Halloween.
The original Halloween. I'd never seen it before.
And it's I saw pieces of it when I was younger. I don't think I ever watched the whole thing through. It's really good. It's got a lot of creep.
Yeah.
And the remake from 2008 or 9 of Last House on the Left. Watch that one. Do not watch the original from the 70s. That is a pile of trash.
Or
it's,
if you want a good laugh, you could watch the original one from the 70s.
I don't even know if it's worth that.
Although I think the 1978 Halloween was really good.
Yeah.
So if you want to join our coven and be my victim, you can watch us on Twitch, Discord, YouTube, listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, and iTunes, and you can look at us on Instagram at Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast.
Friendship is magic.